Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be going through the Phoenix Journal number 2, chapters 12 and chapter 19. And we're also going through Enoch, chapter 103. But first, we're going to start with a prayer. Blessed are you, creator of all things, who moves the stars, winds, and oceans, who gives life to our world and others. Give us today our unleavened bread, that we might see its truth, and deliver us from all error and lies. Lead us not into temptations and dark forces of this world, for yours is the kingdom and plant that grows within us, and all things. For yours is the power from which all things come in return. All knowledge is yours, given to and through us, that we might add to your knowledge through the Spirit within us. For all is one. Let's get into it. For the sands in the hourglass of time is all but run out. And we'll be starting in the Phoenix Journal number 2, chapter 12, under the greatest commandment. One among them, a scribe, taunted Emmanuel and asked, "Which one is the greatest commandment in the law?" He spoke and replied, "Whose law are you speaking about? Are you asking about the law of the emperor? Are you thinking about the law of God? Or are you thinking about the law of the creation?" The scribe replied, "I am asking about the laws of all three." Emmanuel responded, "The highest commandment in the law of the creation is, achieve the wisdom of knowledge, inasmuch as this will enable you to wisely follow the laws of the creation. The highest commandment of the law of God is, you shall honor God as the ruler of the three human races, and follow his laws, for he is the king of wisdom of three human races. But the highest command of the law of the emperor is this, you shall be subject to the emperor and follow his laws, and give to him a tenth, for he is ruler over the people. These are the noblest and greatest laws of the three, determined according to their type. But the other one is this, and equal to the first. You shall consider as omnipotent the creation alone, for it alone is constant and infinite. For God and the emperor are temporal, but the creation is eternal. These two commandments include the entire law of the prophets. The law of God and the emperor are human, laws and meant to rule by men in orderly and righteous manner. But the laws of the creation are the laws of life and spirit, and are therefore eternal and constant. Likewise is the spirit of man immortal, for how could the creation itself ever cease to be? If a person is dead in the physical, the spirit lives on, and leaves this existence for the one beyond, where it continues to gather the wisdom of knowledge, according to the amount of spiritual wisdom gained. He himself decides his future and his return, as well as his activity later on in his experience. Since I too am a prophet, and know the future, I tell you that I shall return as representative of God, so that I can sit in judgment of all those who follow false teachings and belittle the wisdom of the Spirit. Whose son am I? When the Pharisees were together, Emmanuel asked them and said, Who do you think whose son I am? They answered, The son of David. He retorted, How can I be the son of David? He has been dead for a very long period of time, and I have been begotten by Gabriel, the guardian angel. You do not even remember your own stories. Further, haven't you read or heard that David called me Lord when he said, The Lord said to my Lord, Sit down at my right side, so that I can place your enemies under your feet. For you are my stepson and my successor. So since David calls me Lord, how can I be his son? No one could give him an answer, and they said secretly, He blasphemies God and the prophets. Let us contemplate how to arrest him and condemn him that he might be executed. For he endangers our very positions, and we shall no longer be respected by the people if we do not rid ourselves of this man. Be aware of scribes and Pharisees, the ones that also tainted the New Testament. Emmanuel then turned to the people and the disciples and said, The scribes and the Pharisees sit on the chairs of the prophets. Everything they say, however, you refrain from doing, and keep not their rules, and do not act according to their works. They teach you false teachings, which they and their predecessors have falsified, that they might profit therefrom. They contrive a heavy burdens, that they might place them upon the shoulders of the people. But they themselves will not want to lift a finger in production of works. Any labor that they do is done in the impressing of others. They enlarge their prayer belts, as well as the tassels on their clothing. They love to sit in the best places at the tables, and within the synagogues. They love to be greeted at the marketplace and to be called master by the people. Do not allow anyone to call you a master, until you perceive the wisdom of knowledge. Neither let anyone call you teacher, until you follow the law of creation. For he who allows others to call him master and teacher, who does not have the wisdom of knowledge, will be denounced as a liar. He who will understand undeservedly exalt himself will be abased, and he who undeservedly abases himself will be esteemed lightly. Let him who is great in spirit consider himself great, and him who is small in spirit consider himself small, and he who is middling in spirit consider himself middling. It is stupid and unwise if man lets others consider him greater or smaller than he is. Beware, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites who block spiritual progress for the people. You will not attain it easily, and you keep it from those who wish to attain it, because of false teachings and the power of your man-made laws. You hypocrites, devour the homes of the widows, and devout long prayers for the sake of appearance. Therefore you shall stay in spiritual darkness all the longer for your foolishness. Woe unto you, hypocrites, who pass through lands, countries, and seas in order to win a follower for Judaism. After one has become a Jew, you turn him into an irrational and unreasonable child, that is serving false teachings in a twofold manner, as do you. An oath is of no substance. Woe unto you, you blind leaders of false teachings, who say, if a person swears by the temple, that does not count. If a person swears by the gold on the temple, that binds him. You fools and blinded ones, you are the offspring of evil. Why do you let people swear, knowing that an oath is not binding and is a worthless act? How can you say that if a person swears by the altar, that does not count? But if a person swears through sacrifice, that is binding. You blind and false teachers, who gave you the right to demand an oath or to swear, since the laws of the creation state that oaths should not be given? Your speech should always be yes or no. Therefore, he who swears by anything on earth or the universe swears by something fleeting, for heaven and earth shall pass away, which is without any substance, and therefore an oath is of no substance. Either therefore, he who swears by anything commits a crime with respect to the truth of his word and makes it doubtful. Woe unto you, you blind leaders of a horde of blind, who say, this should be done, and that should not be left undone. Since you represent a false teaching, woe unto you, who increase tenfold mint, mammary, dill, and carry away seed, and consider the least important the most important in the law, namely, the right to freedom and knowledge and the truth of the creation. You are foolish and blind leaders. You are mosquitoes and swallow camels which you cannot digest. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites who keep cups and bowls outwardly clean, yet inside they are full of rapaciousness and greed. For you must purify that which is inside the cup, so that which is on the outside also becomes and remains pure. So you too appear godly and good in front of the people, but inwardly you are full of hypocrisy and falsehood and violations. Woe unto you, hypocrites, who build tombs for the prophets and adorn the graves of the just and speak, if we had been at the time of our fathers, we would not have become guilty with them in the shedding of the prophets' blood. Woe to you, hypocrites, who secretly call the dead from the common people and talk with them and believe them. But they only speak of that which they already thought wrongly during their lifetime. You are not great enough to call upon the dead who have some wisdom and tell of the truth. You give testimony to yourself that you are the children of those people who killed the prophets and falsified their teachings. Therefore you fulfill the measure of your fathers, since you end your life without understanding, and you will have trouble learning in the future. You generation of vipers, how can you be great in spirit without having any understanding? All the just blood which was shed through you on earth will come back to you, beginning with the first prophet, whom your fathers and forefathers murdered, to the blood of Zacharias, the son of Barachias, whom you have killed between the temple and the altar. And therefore all the blood of the future which will be shed will be of your own accountability. Verily, verily, I say unto you, all this shall come upon you and upon your race, for a long time yet to come and pass. Now, the prophecies of end days. As Emmanuel walked from the temple, the disciples wanted to show him the building in which the temple was built. But he spoke to them, Do you not see all this? Verily I say to you, not one stone here will remain upon the other without being broken. For the Jews trespass against life and the truth, and they built the city on the blood of people. They plundered this land through rapaciousness and murder, and killed their friends with whom they drank wine. Thus they betrayed their own friends, and murdered them, because of their greediness. Likewise it shall be done unto them. Later, as he sat on the Mount of Olives, his disciples came to him and requested, Tell us, when will this happen, and what will be the sign? But Emmanuel answered and said, See to it that no one lead you astray. For many will come in my name, and say, I am Emmanuel, and they will lead great numbers of ones astray. People will hear about wars and war cries. They shall see and not be startled. This is what must happen, but it is not yet the end. Because people will rise against one another, and one kingdom against another. And there will be times of great need, and earthquakes, and great floods all about the lands. This is the beginning of great calamities, and great cataclysms. And something else to note here is, all the stones on that temple have not been destroyed yet, but it will. But it has not come to pass, and it will come to pass in this generation. Now, starting back up. Soon the people with the knowledge will be surrendered to grief, and many will be killed. They will be hated for the sake of truth in their teachings and for their wisdom. Many kinds of cults will rise up against one another, and much blood will flow, and many hearts and spirits will be broken. Many will succumb as a result of these conflicts, and will betray one another, and will hate one another, because they remain small in spirit. Because there will be lack of faith, love will become cold, and deaden in many people. Hatred will rule over all the world, and evil will reign for a long period of time. But he who persists in the truth will survive. This lesson will be preached throughout the entire world as a testimony for all peoples. And then the end will come, when the word of truth has gone forth throughout the total of the lands. When the people will see the horror of destruction in Jerusalem, and the lands thereabout, of which the prophets have already spoken, then the end will come. When this happens, whoever is at the time in the land of Judea should flee to the mountains. He who is on the roof should not come down from it to get anything from out of his house. He who is in the field should not come back in order to get his coat or any other of his possessions. O woe to the woman in this place, who are pregnant, and those who are suckling their babies at that time, for they shall suffer much grief and death. There will be multitudes. There will follow great griefs, as has never been since the beginning of the world, until now, and also never will be again. And if these days were not shortened, no man would remain alive, but the days would be shortened for the sake of the Spirit and wisdom, and for the sake of the people who serve the truth and the laws. There shall be untold gnashing and chattering of teeth, and great mourning and screaming, when this time comes, because of man's lack of understanding and because of his greed. There shall be machines made from metal for use in the air, on the waters and on land, to kill one another in great masses. They shall throw heavy projectiles out of these machines made of metal, and they shall strike the cities throughout the lands. Fire will come out of these projectiles and burn the world, so that hardly anything will survive, and that which does survive will no longer be spared. They will put the cornerstones of life itself into the projectiles, in order to kindle the deadly fires. It's also known as nukes. And if at that time the celestial suns would not appear in order to bring it to a standstill, verily I tell you, not one person will survive upon the face of the earth. Hence the human race will, at that time, number at least 10 times 500 million people, 5 billion, which was actually the number of people when this book was found. Well, closer to 9 billion, 8 billion? Anyway, 2 parts thereof will be destroyed and killed. When at that point someone will say to the people, Behold, here is Emmanuel, they should not believe it. Because many false Emmanuels and false prophets will rise up and do great signs and wonders, so that if it were possible, also even the wise and knowing would be misled. Behold, I told you so before. Therefore, when they shall say, He is in the desert, man shall not go out. And behold, he is in the chamber, they shall not believe. Hence I will most certainly return at that point in time. I will let them recognize me. This is how the law is written, and thus it shall be. For as lightning starts with the rise and radiance until its settings, thus will be my coming among the heavenly hosts, with whom I shall have my renewed life at that time. Men of all times, be aware. Wherever the carcass is, there the vultures will gather, so be aware of them. Also, this world is dead, and it is this carcass, and they're going to gather here. Soon after the grief of that time, sun and moon will no longer radiate, and the stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven will become shaky. The structure of the heavens will be disturbed because of the senselessly erupted power of men, who will be living in greed, power, and addiction. There will be then appear a sign in the sky, and then all the generations on earth will cry, and will see the celestial sons coming in the clouds of the sky. And they are of great power, and will judge harshly against the senselessness. Since God is the ruler over the 3 human races, he therefore will judge them through his representatives. Man owes God his creation, and God is the ruler over him, so that he has to follow his commandments and respect him, as the greatest king of wisdom. He will send forth his guardian angels with loud trumpets, and will gather his followers from the 4 winds, from one end of the earth unto the other. Blessed ones, learn a parable from the fig tree. When its branches begins to have leaves, and they are coming out, you know that summer is near. Likewise, the people at that time, when they see all this, they will know that it is close at hand. Verily, verily, I say unto you, this is how it will be, and this human race will not pass until all this has come about. Heaven and earth will pass, and the universe also, but my words will not pass, for they are words of truth within the laws of the creation. No one knows the day nor hour that all this will happen, nor do the guardian angels of God, nor I, Emmanuel. But God alone, who has the greatest wisdom, knows. He is the ruler over all these human races, and to him is due honor and praise. And he too owes honor and praise unto the creation which is above all. So be it. If man reveres and honors God, and recognizes only the creation as the supreme power, he thereby acts rightly in truth. Now we'll be starting with Enoch chapter 103. I swear to you, ye righteous, that in heaven the angels record your goodness before the glory of the Mighty One. Wait with patient hope. For formerly you have been disgraced with evil and with affliction. But now shall you shine with the luminaries of heaven. You shall be seen, and the gates of heaven shall be opened to you. Your cries have cried for judgment, and it has appeared to you. For an account of all your sufferings shall be required from the princes, and from every one who has assisted in your plunders. Wait with patient hope, nor relinquish your confidence, for great joy shall be yours, like that of the angels in heaven. Conduct yourselves as you may. Still, you shall not be concealed in the day of the great judgment. You shall not be found like the sinners, and eternal condemnation shall be far from you, so long as the world exists. And now fear not, ye righteous, when ye see sinners flourishing and prospering in their ways. Now in this verse, this is related to something that's fixing to happen. With our US dollar, it's going to crash, and it's not going to be worth anything. And in place of it, they're going to put a new system, a one world currency system. And now all these people, they're going to be real joyous over what's come to this country. They're going to be happy, things are finally get back to normal. But then they got you. So be aware, and don't be with them when this time comes. Put it all behind, even if it leads to your death. So be it. It's worth it if you win. Now, let's go on verse 5. Be not associates with them, But keep yourselves at a distance from their oppression, because it is oppression. Look what's on the back of your dollar even. Why is there a pyramid on it? I mean, are you under Pharaoh still? Be you associated with the host of heaven, you ye sinners, say, all our transgressions shall not be taken account of, and be recorded, but all your transgressions shall be recorded daily. Even if you say, oh, I've been forgiven all this and that, as we put it. But no, it's still recorded, and you're still going to be held accountable for it. And be assured by me, that light and darkness, day and night, behold all your transgressions. Be not impious in your thoughts. Lie not. Surrender not the word of uprightness. Lie not against the word of the Holy and Mighty One. Glorify not your idols. For all your lying and all your impiety is not for righteousness, but for a great crime. Now will I point out a mystery. Many sinners shall turn and transgress against the word of uprightness. They shall speak evil things, they shall utter falsehood, execute great undertakings, and compose books in their own words. But when they shall write all my words correctly in their own languages, they shall neither change or diminish them, but shall write them all correctly, all which from the first I have uttered concerning them. Another mystery I also point out to you. To the righteous and the wise shall be given books of joy, of integrity, and of great wisdom. To them shall books be given, in which they shall believe, and in which they shall rejoice, and all the righteous shall be rewarded, whom from these shall acquire the knowledge of every upright path. Now these are the books in the Phoenix journals. The Talmud Emmanuel has been given to you. If you believe it, good. If you don't, it's your loss. It's on you. And we'll do a little part of 104. In those days, saith the Lord, that they shall call to the children of the earth, and make them listen to their wisdom, and show them that you are their leaders, and that the remuneration shall take place over the whole earth. Greatest are made the least, least are made the greatest. For I and my Son will forever hold communion with them in the paths of uprightness. While they are still alive, peace shall be yours. Rejoice, children of integrity, in the truth. Now we'll be going to chapter 19 in Phoenix Journal number 2. And its title is Judas in Conclusion. Greetings in light. Judas present, that we might continue and conclude this portion of the scrolls and transcription. This portion is ended here because of events which will be happening in a timely way, and it is time the misconceptions regarding Jesus Christ be further set to print. It has been done prior to this, but has been mostly discounted. All you can judge the content of truth in a thing by how much effort and what kind of effort is thrust at its discounting. Other scripts were given voice in a country most distant from yours. They were, however, documented, as in the primary pages indicated, by officers from Pleiades and are authentic, as are the labels of the officers involved. This is allowed today that I might be in the clearing of my birthright on your planet, at the time I walked in mortal form with you, Dharma, who walked with me as well. Many of us have been together many times in the service of truth. Perhaps this final time we can get it in a proper format in truth with understanding. Now, God's promise of truth in the last days. These truths come forth now in the last days, that there be records and availability for naught will be changed as far as the prophecies are concerned. However, one must have access to truth, for it is the promise of God that man find, hear, and seek truth. This, that he may judge his path as the final cycle is closed. Another note here is, a lot of the Old Testament prophecies will be coming to pass here soon in this end generation. And other scribes and receivers will be putting to paper these same notations, that each be kept in security. Honor those brave ones such as Edward Billy Mayer of Switzerland, who dared to speak out that the path be opened. He has been sorely persecuted, ridiculed, and harassed, and ye ones are now coming forth to carry the banner that he find peace. You see, precious ones, the craft came, and persons came from the craft. Billy was taken aboard with witnesses, and still the world discounts. You are taken into counsel nightly, aboard craft, and elsewhere, but in silence, that you not suffer those things. However, it is very near when you shall be flooded with the presence of craft, and association with fleet personnel, and these things must be documented first. So it is done. The portion required. The Master Emmanuel Sananda is to make his appearance unto you very soon now, and the written word must be made available. Those last years in India. Those things that has happened in India in those ancient days of 2,000 years ago are not the level of importance as that which we have just given unto you, aka these books. People do not wish their God to have been in a physical flesh and blood man who might have done earthly things. Well, he was and did, and he publicly married and has several children. I traveled with him into our old age. I passed from your plane in about my 90th year, and Master Emmanuel in well above his 100th year. He was about 119, which is actually in the Old Testament about the max a person can live. After leaving the area around Judea and traveling into India, we continued to travel the width and breadth of those countries in that geographic location. He spent much time in the North India with myself, his mother, Mary, and his brother, Thomas. We were caused to be in flight most of the time, for Emmanuel was considered to be a revolutionary. It was in the north, near the last of the mountains, of the Himalayan mountains, in the western area known as today as West Pakistan, that Mary became severely ill and passed from this plane. Emmanuel was in his last years, on his third decade at that time. Mary was a wondrous person, and Thomas had reached his accountability and was a fine man. After the death of Mary, we moved on and passed into Kashmir. We traveled along in what you are now referred to as Afghanistan and West Pakistan. About a dozen Israel tribes had migrated from Israel and settled in that location. Emmanuel put his family roots in Srinagar in Kashmir, India, and all his travels since that time were to and from that place. Emmanuel was buried in Srinagar, with his human journey ended. I too was laid death near that place. Emmanuel's firstborn son, Joseph, continued to write Emmanuel's story after my passing, and left India only after Emmanuel's passing. He too traveled about the lands for several years, but then returned to his father's land and settled in Jerusalem for his renewing life span. Joseph tended the scrolls after my death and added his portions. As he grew elderly, he sought a safe place for the keeping and subsequently buried them within Emmanuel's tomb, where he originally was lain. These artifacts were discovered at the direct instructions of ones from these realms, preparing now for his return. Much blood has been spilled in the name of this glorious and wondrous Emmanuel, under the name of Jesus Christ, and it is to be before this cycle ends that it shall be vindicated. Emmanuel, Isu, the one you erroneously call Jesus Christ, shall be vindicated from attachment to such actions, for his teachings were never such. He cares not what you call his person. He cares greatly what you attribute unto his person, your works. This beloved one has grown into his full stature in the heavenly lineage, and has attained his inheritance in patrimony, his oneness with God, Aton, and his rightful place of purity within the creation as Creator. He is soon returning unto your planet, that he might fulfill his commission, and thus are we preparing the way for that coming. Ye have been sent before that these things in these days be completed, and set to order. O blessed ones, you shall soon be given proof, for which ye plead, for the hourglass is all but run out. You have to grow in these passing years, for the things of earth must pass as things of earth, without force or coercion in the earth manner. Free will. You will prevail for, precious ones. It is written, and it is written within the creation, so shall it come to pass in thy perceived reality, for all is thought of creation and creator. And forgive me if I start speaking too fast, it's a bad habit. Now, joy, gratitude, honor, and respect. My joy at our communion is abundant, unlimited. Indeed, this week of sharing has been indeed a journey's end, and you are greatly blessed beyond that which you can comprehend. All of you who serve in this tiny segment are the most beloved and honored. Oh, but great shall be the reward of that service. My gratitude is also expressed herein to Commander Hatton of Pleiades Fleet Command of the Intergalactic Federation Fleet and Council, Commanders Asket and Semyaze, who cleared the path prior to this expression, in this format by mine own being. Above all ones, I give my honor and infinite respect and love to Emmanuel, Isu, who is now known in this attained stature, by the Father Creator, and within the creation by the highest name, Sananda. And by the way, remember he said when he went to his father he'd get a new name, and this is the new name. It's Sananda. May these words be taken into the eyes and ears of receivers, as the truth they are, for it will be the way of truth that man will either survive or perish. For his days are short upon the place of earth. Upon these writings I place mine seal, and I hereby release the burden of the lie upon my name, for lo, these 2 millennium. I am that I am, Judas Iscariot. Sananda in conclusion. I am Sananda, that I might speak. I also place mine seal upon these writings, that I have been scribed in love and truth. Ye once carry thy burden so heavily, and blessed ones, I would take a portion from you, for I can do so. Scenes must, however, be played out to the ending upon the screen of life, that each may attain fulfillment of soul, purpose, and perfection. All things in thy journey path allow the growth, and as you reach thy graduation, you can stand pleased with thy progress, if you have learned truth and balance, with and within the creation, and campaigned ever toward perfection in thy God self. And unto that total perfection, there are ones upon your place that I have give infinite respect and dedication, for lifelong and unwavering service. Their names must rest with me, however, for they are not yet safe from harm in thy lands, nor a place of their beloved ones in jeopardy. So be it, for ye must always protect of thy brethren. As we move ever closer to the closing pages, the slings and arrows of thine evil enemies will become constant and deadly. Ye will, however, be getting higher reinforcements very soon. Hold thy course, for I captain the ship, and I know unto which harbor is safe. I am humble in the service of my Father, my God's self, and my oneness within creation. I am most humble in my service unto you, my brothers who yet walk the rough path. I am ever beside you, so be it in Salah. Find thy peace and balance within, and hold on to it, in the beauty and the glory of creation, with which I am one. I am God. I am of God. I am that I am Sananda. I'll be praying for you, brothers and sisters, for the worst has not yet come. And as we enter this golden age in our history of America, I want you to remember the fall of Egypt, Rome, Babylon, as an example of what is to come. For this image we are creating shall tumble and fall, like all great kingdoms. And remember, he loves those who love him, and I love those who he loves. I love you. Salah, and peace be with you through the times ahead. Amen.